The quarantine sirens wailed across Nexus Station as Ephraim's transport pod hurtled toward the planetary surface. Through the reinforced viewport, he watched the swirling crimson storms of Karveth grow larger, their electric tendrils reaching skyward like the fingers of some ancient god. This wasn't exploration. This was execution dressed in scientific protocol. Subject displays no xenophobic mutations, the automated voice droned. Proceeding with wild zone insertion. Ephraim pressed his palm against the cold metal wall. 23 other colonies had tried to tame Karveth. 23 had fallen silent within weeks, their distress beacons fading into the planet's electromagnetic chaos. The Galactic Council had declared it a wild zone, a planetary graveyard where the universe's rules twisted into something unrecognizable. Only criminals and volunteers too desperate to refuse were sent there now that he was neither. But when Maggie had vanished during the last salvage mission to the planet's outer rim, Ephraim had done the only thing that made sense. He'd assaulted a council overseer to guarantee his own exile to the same hell that had swallowed her. The pod struck atmosphere, and reality began to fracture. Colors bled into sounds. Ephraim tasted purple, heard the texture of steel, felt the weight of photons against his skin. The Wild Zone's reputation wasn't exaggeration, it was understatement. Space-time itself was sick here, infected with something the Council's best scientists couldn't name. They called it the distortion. Ephraim called it his only chance. When the pod crashed into the obsidian sand, he stumbled out into madness. The sky rippled like water disturbed by stones. Mountains floated inverted above their own shadows. A forest of crystalline structures sang in harmonies that made his bones vibrate. This was Karveth, beautiful, impossible, and utterly lethal. 3 hours, Ephraim muttered, checking his suit's chronometer. That was the longest anyone had survived here according to recovered black boxes. He had 3 hours to find Maggie or join the ghosts that he made it 30 minutes before the planet tried to kill him. The creature emerged from a fold in reality itself, a predator that existed in too many dimensions simultaneously. Its form shifted between states: liquid shadow, crystalline horror, living geometry. The Council xenobiologists had called them shards, fragments of something vast and incomprehensible that hunted anything foolish enough to breathe Karveth's air. Ephraim ran. His mag boots found purchase on surfaces that shouldn't exist, carrying him through a canyon where gravity pointed sideways. The shard followed, its non-Euclidean body flowing through impossible angles. Every instinct screamed that he was dead, that humans weren't meant to survive here, that, down. The command cut through the distortion's chaos with crystalline clarity. Ephraim dropped as a pulse of raw energy screamed overhead, striking the shard mid-launch. The creature shrieked in frequencies that existed outside normal space and dissolved into geometric fragments. Maggie stood atop a rock formation that grew downward into the ground, her suit scarred and modified with technology Ephraim didn't recognize. But it was her eyes that stopped his heart. They reflected the distortion, swirling with the same impossible colors that painted Karveth's sky. "You shouldn't have come," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that made his teeth ache. "Humans aren't supposed to survive the wild zone. Neither were you." Ephraim climbed toward her, ignoring how the rocks felt like climbing through warm water. "Maggie, we need to leave. I have an extraction pod hidden. I'm not leaving." She held up her hand, and reality bent around her fingers. The air crystallized, forming patterns that echoed the shard's geometry. "Don't you understand, Ephraim? The wild zone doesn't kill humans. It tests us. And those who pass." A sound like breaking glass multiplied infinite times echoed across the landscape. Ephraim turned to see them emerging from the distortion, dozens of shards, their forms rippling with predatory intent. They surrounded the rock formation in a tightening circle, and Ephraim realized with cold certainty that his mag pistol's 6 remaining charges wouldn't even slow them. "Maggie, watch." She stepped forward, and the impossible happened. The shards stopped. Their geometric forms twisted, reformed, and one, the largest, flowed toward Maggie like a loyal hound. It settled beside her, its crystalline body harmonizing with her breathing. "The Council thinks the wild zone is punishment," Maggie said, running her hand through the shard's non-corporeal mass. "They're wrong. Karveth is evolution. The distortion breaks down everything that makes us think we're fragile, shows us what humans really are when the universe's training wheels come off. Ephraim stared as more shards approached, their hostility evaporating. They moved around Maggie like planets orbiting a star, their alien geometries somehow recognizing her as something beyond prey, beyond threat, something new. 3 weeks I've been here, Maggie continued. 3 weeks of the planet trying to kill me, trying to break me, trying to unmake me. But humans don't break, Ephraim. We adapt. We overcome. We turn hell into home and make predators into companions. She gestured to the shard beside her. The council sent me here to die. Instead, Carveth taught me what humanity is really capable of when we stop being afraid. The largest shard moved closer to Ephraim, its form shifting through configurations that hurt to perceive. He felt the distortion pressing against his mind, testing, probing, searching for something. Terror fought with wonder in his chest. It's choosing whether you're worthy, Maggie said softly. Whether you can handle the crown that comes with surviving the wild zone. Ephraim met the shard's non-eyes and understood. This wasn't execution. This was trial by fire, and humanity, stubborn, adaptable, relentlessly surviving humanity, was being offered something the galaxy had never seen. Not conquest, not submission. Partnership with the unkillable. The shard's form solidified slightly, and Ephraim felt reality shift around him. The distortion's chaos began to make a terrible kind of sense. Colors found their proper frequencies. Gravity remembered its purpose. And the shard, deadliest predator of a planet that had devoured 23 colonies, bowed its impossible head in acknowledgement. Maggie smiled, and in her eyes, Ephraim saw the future. Humans walking among the wild zones, crowned with companions that made the galaxy's established powers look like children playing with toys. Welcome to evolution, she said. Welcome to what comes next. Above them, Carveth's crimson storm sang their approval, and the wild zone that was supposed to kill them prepared to show the universe what humanity looked like when it stopped pretending to be civilized.